lot of movies, a lot of stories from our childhood, from our adult years. And we'll hear this phrase, may all your dreams come true. May all your dreams come true. Let's say those words together, please. May all your dreams come true. Maybe you've heard those words spoken to you. Maybe you've seen these kind of words spoken in many stories. May all your dreams come true. It's a nice sentiment. But as we established the first week of this summer message series, that not all of our dreams come true. We'll have stories about dreams that we had as children that did not come true. Dreams that we had as adults that did not come true. Dreams today that are not coming true. And so we know that there is not only do not all of our dreams come true, but sometimes our dreams get shattered. There's a lot of sports stories that would tell you that. There's a lot of business stories. There's a lot of marriages that would tell you that. May all your dreams come true. So I've had lots of shattered dreams. But because of who God is and how gracious He is, I've also had some dreams that have come true. So we've got a number of guests, a number of new people with us this morning, so you don't know much of my story in that, and I'm not going to share a whole lot of it. But when I was born, I don't know who my earthly father is. Never met him, don't even have a name. And so I know that he never held me. So, you know, there's things I know. I've got some junk in me from not having an earthly father guide, but I also know that I don't have some junk from having an earthly father that was not a good earthly father. But when I knew that I was going to be a father for the first time, it was a dream come true. So I had my first Father's Day in 1982. And here's a picture from that first Father's Day. I know you're amazed at how dark Emily's hair is, and maybe somebody else's too. That was a lot of time, but that was a dream come true, that my first child would be a daughter. I had 3 younger brothers. I wanted a girl to be our first child, and then a son, then another daughter. I've loved being a father. I still love being a father. I love being a grandfather, a papa, as my grandchildren call me. Those are a lot of dreams come true, but not all dreams of mine have come true. Not all dreams of yours. But how good this God is that some of our dreams come true. And so the reason that we're thinking about this as we go through this time together is that we want us to consider how to follow God's summer dreams. Again, we all have dreams. But so many of our dreams and some of them that have ended up shattered, probably it's a grace that they ended up shattered. Because oftentimes when we have dreams, they're dreams kind of just for ourselves. I mean, some of us maybe dreamed that we would be a much better athlete, but it was for ourselves. Some of us dreamed that maybe we would get a lot of money, whether we would earn it or somehow there would just be a rich relative that would die and just give us a whole bunch of money. We had that dream, and those dreams have passed. We have all kinds of, we had dreams that maybe our marriages would be better than they are. Our children would be, there's all kinds of dreams, but oftentimes those dreams, we dream that maybe I can get a bigger house, I can get a bigger boat, I can get a nicer car, I can do some kind of hobby. We have dreams that oftentimes those are small dreams. How to follow God's summer dreams. So this morning, as we wrap up this series, the title of the message is When All of God's Dreams Come True, because like we established last week, every God dream comes true. Not every dream we dream comes true, but every dream God dreams comes true. When all God's dreams come true. So over and over in the course of my serving as a pastor here at New Hope, I go back to my favorite Bible verse over and over again because it's a part of what God's dream is. God reveals Himself to us, how we think about Him as a father, no matter what kind of image we have of our experiences we had with an earthly father, whether really, really good and we got some great dads around here. Again, if you stay after and see the scrolling thing, you're going to see some great dads and some great children that the fathers are building their lives into. But we also know that there are stories in here that we didn't have such good dads. But we have a God who is a good, good father because as He reveals Himself, how we think about Him changes how we relate to him. So our God he is the Lord, the Lord. He's compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. He speaks that on top of a mountain to Moses, and Moses hears these words and records these words. And these words have gotten so deeply in me and maybe deeply in many of you, and I want them to get even deeper in all of us. So why don't we speak these words together, please? The Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. What we're going to see as we wrap up the story of Joseph today is that all the dreams that Joseph had when he was 17, and now that he's 39, and then a number of years later, all of God's dreams come true in ways that Joseph could have never imagined, in ways that it's hard to imagine. And so we're going to jump to the end of the story. And again, it's from Genesis chapter 41 to Genesis chapter 50. No way we have the time to read all the chapters, so we're going to jump around a little bit. But we left off last week with these words. After 2 whole years, that's not where we're jumping off to. After 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed. Again, here's another dream. The most powerful person probably on the planet Earth at that time had a dream. But it says 2 whole years because Joseph had interpreted a dream correctly, or someone that got reestablished to Pharaoh's good side. And Joseph said, remember me. But he forgot. 2 more years Joseph spent in prison. But now a dream happens. Again, God gives this dream. And behold, there came up out of the Nile 7. And we just want to remember that number 7 as we go to interpret this dream. So the next screen, as it comes up, it says this. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph. So again, he's in prison, but they called Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the pit, so out of this prison. It says, and when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I've had a dream, again this dream, and there is no one who can interpret it, but I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh. Again, Pharaoh doesn't believe in the God that Joseph believes and follows. But Joseph is bold enough to say, it is not me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, behold, in my dream, he's going to talk about these 7s, and we're going to skip to the interpretation of the dream. So the next screen says this. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one, and God, again, he's got to keep saying, God. This is a God dream. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years. That's what Pharaoh saw. He saw these 7 really, really fat, luscious cows that are 7 years, and the 7 good ears, these ears of corn, just the kernels almost falling off, just bust them out. The 7 are 7 years. The dreams are 1. And then the 7 lean and ugly cows, these gaunt-looking, starving cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears, blighted by the east wind, are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh, God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do, what God is about to do. Not what Pharaoh is about to do. Pharaoh's not going to have any control of this, but here's what God is going to do. And then we read, it says, there will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them there will arise 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And then the famine will consume the land, and the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of the famine that will follow, for it will be very severe. And the doubling of Pharaoh's dream, God's dream, means that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it about. It's going to happen, this prediction. And now, he's not asked to do this, but Joseph goes beyond the interpretation and gives counsel to the most powerful man of the world, with all kinds of other people around him, all of the other counselors that have always been around the Pharaoh. Now, therefore, let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years. So there's a tax. But it's going to be so huge that people aren't going to be resistant of paying this tax of 1/5 of what they reap in those 7 years. And let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the cities, and let them all keep it. That food shall be a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine. Again, there's back to that 7 that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through the famine. And so after he lays out this plan, here's what Pharaoh says next. The proposal, please Pharaoh, he didn't ask for it, he just asked for the interpretation of the dream. And all of his servants, so again, all these counselors that are around him, and Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find a man like this? And again, get this, from the most powerful man, not believing in this God, but he just somehow recognizes in Joseph, can we find a man like this in whom is the Spirit of God? God is making these dreams come true. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has shown you all of this, there is none so discerning and wise as you. You shall be over. I mean, he just came out of the prison not too many hours before, maybe not even an hour or two before this. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you up over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand and clothed him in garments of fine linen and put gold chains about his neck. I mean, what a turn of events, but not over yet. We're going to see that there's going to be another 7 years and then another 2 years of famine before all the dreams that Joseph had when he was 17 start coming true. So we read this as a marker. Joseph was 30 years old, so 17, his 10 older brothers sold him into slavery, goes down to Egypt, works for Potiphar, gets betrayed by Potiphar's wife, ends up in prison. God is with him in prison, interprets a dream, but now 13 years. It's been 13 years. So he's 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went through all the land of Egypt. Joseph worked over the next 7 years. He may not have time to think. I mean, he was just traveling from city to city, making sure build these bins, make sure that the food is coming in, that 1/5 is coming in, make sure that 1/5 is coming in. And you got to imagine that here's this foreigner somehow just rises to the top. Not everybody was happy about that. I mean, he probably got some power that maybe some others at one point had, and he got all this power. So he works. Again, God is with them. And all these storage bins are built, and all the food is collected for those 7 years. For those 7 years, they stay at the task. And now we read what happens as the famine begins. When Jacob learned, so again, we're just transported back into the land of Canaan. This is his father, Jacob. When Jacob learned that there was grain for sale in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you keep looking at one another? And he said, behold, I've heard that there is grain for sale in Egypt. Go down and buy grain for us there, that we may live and not die. So 10, not all 11, so 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, that's the youngest brother, Joseph's brother, with his brothers, for he feared that harm might happen to him. Thus the sons of Israel came to buy among the others who came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Again, the whole world is coming to Egypt to buy grain. So then we read this. Now Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came, and here's the dream come true that Joseph had when he was 17. He's risen up, and all 10 older brothers. Again, if Joseph is about 39 at this point, 7 years of good, 2 more years of famine as it starts. There's going to be another 5 years, as we'll read. So if Joseph is 39, his brothers are in his 40s, and his oldest brothers are in their 50s. As they come and bow down with their faces to the ground. And Joseph saw his brothers recognize them. They didn't recognize him. Again, we read in other places that he speaks through an interpreter, even though he knows the language. He knows what they're saying when they speak. And obviously he looks different. He's not a poor person. He's this. And so then we read this. When then the brothers buy some grain, go back. They have to come back again, but this time, because of the things that happen, they have to bring the youngest brother back. And so when they bring the youngest brother back, Joseph has them all come to his home. So when Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present that they had with them and there's a second time. They bowed down to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare and said, because again, is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive? They said, your servant of our father is well, he is still alive. Again, they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. I mean, the dream coming true, God's dream coming true, coming true, coming true. And then we read, and he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son. Then not only do we want to count the many times that the brothers will bow down to Joseph, but the many times that we're going to read that Joseph just weeps because of God's dream coming true. And Joseph hurried out, for his compassion, is it any surprise that that word compassion would appear in this story? Grew warm for his brother, and he sought a place to weep, and he entered his chamber and wept there. Then as we go on in the story, when Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there. This is after they have had this feast. They've left, but Joseph is kind of playing with them. They all end up having to come back because he's going to put all of them into prison, including his younger brother Benjamin. So they all come back, and Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house. He was still there, and they fell to him to the ground. Here's another time, just God's dream coming true, God's dream coming true. And then here's what we read. Then Joseph could not control himself before all those who stood by him, and he cried, make everyone go out of here, all the Egyptians. So no one stayed with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And again, he just weeps aloud. He weeps aloud. So that the Egyptians heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard it. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer him, for they were stunned at his presence. They'd last seen him when he was 17. So Joseph said to his brothers, come near to me, please. And they came near, and he said, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God's dream is coming true. Sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years, back to that 7, in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God's dream sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. And we are part of God's dream coming true. He has made me a father to Pharaoh and the Lord of all his house and rule over all the land of Egypt. So as the story continues, he says, hurry and go up to my father. You can imagine the shock. We're going to read about it. This is going to be an amazing Father's Day. Thus says your son Joseph, God, your God, my God, the God of your father Isaac, the God of Abraham. God has made me Lord over all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't tarry. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, and you and your children, and your children's children, your flocks, your herds, and all that you have. There I will provide for you. There are yet 5 years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have do not come to poverty. And now your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see. That is my mouth that speaks to you as he's speaking to them in the language that they grew up together speaking. So you must tell my father of all my honor in Egypt and all that you have seen. Hurry and bring my father down here. Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept another time. And Benjamin wept upon his neck, and he kissed all of his brothers and wept upon them. And after that, his brothers talked. Imagine that talk. And again, if Joseph is 39 and they're in their 40s and 50s, the wives, the children, the stories, and what happened after you sold me into slavery, and then Potiphar, and then in the prison, and then interpreted this dream, and then Pharaoh's dream, and then I've got a wife and children now too, and just on and on. But the brothers go back and tell Father, and here's what we read when that happens. So they went up out of Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to their father Jacob, and they told him, Joseph is still alive. Again, imagine that 22 years later. 22 years believing your son is dead, your son is dead, your son is dead, your son is dead. You've just come to grips, your son is dead. But God's dream. Joseph's still alive. He's ruler over all the land of Egypt. And his heart became numb, for he did not believe them. Again, after 22 years, you come home and tell me this? But when they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said to them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. And Israel said again, that's his two names, Jacob, Israel, same person. God gave him the name Israel after, and he said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. What a Father's Day. I will go and see him before I die. One more dream to share with you. So they're going to start their way down to Egypt. So we read this. So Israel, again, Jacob, Israel, the father of all 12 sons, took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here I am. And then he said, I am God. I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, the God of your father. So do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. The people of God that will come out of Egypt 400 years later. I myself will go down with you. I will. God speaking, I will go down with you to Egypt. I will also bring you up again. In Joseph's hand, man, what a Father's Day gift. Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. Jacob must believe. What a dream. There's what we read when they have that reunion. And Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to meet Israel, his father, in Goshen. Again, one more time, he presented himself to him, fell on his neck, and wept on his neck for a good long time. What a Father's Day reunion. 17 years later, the father will die. Here's what we read. When Jacob finished commanding his sons, he drew up his feet into the bread, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. And one more time, but not the last time, Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him, kissed him. So 4 weeks ago, we began with the end of the story, because the end of the story is just, we just can't get over the ending of this story. That all God's dreams come true. So we read, when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, maybe that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all evil that we did to him. Maybe we were just waiting until Dad died. So they sent a message to Joseph saying, your father gave this command before he died. It's a lie. Joseph, when he hears it, he knows it's a lie. So they sent a message to Joseph, saying to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin because they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father. And Joseph wept. He just wept. His brothers also came and then one more time fall down again. They're all in their 50s and 60s now. 50, 60 years old, 64, and 65, and 68. Now Joseph wept when they spoke to him. His brothers also came and fell down before him and said, behold, we are your servants. And then these words, just flowing with compassion. But Joseph said to them, do not fear, for am I in the place of God? As for you, you did mean it evil against me. God meant it for good. It's God's dream. It's God's dreams. All God's dreams are coming true. to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are here today. So do not fear. I'll provide for you and your little ones. Thus he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Even all the suffering he had gone through for all those years. Because even though the words hadn't been spoken yet, Joseph knew. He was following a God who is the Lord, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. And that's the God we follow. That's why we're here today, on this Father's Day. To follow this God who is the Lord, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. No earthly father can match that. No earthly mother can match that. You might be an orphan and you have a father. You might be in so much pain and you have a father. You might think that God doesn't care about you, but he is this Lord, the compassionate, gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, and he invites you to follow him. Because, you know, we're more like the 10 older brothers than we are like Joseph. There's an evil in all of us. And because we all share this evil, it wasn't some bad people way back when that put Jesus on the cross. We're a part of that. Jesus goes to the cross because we meant it for evil. But in God's dream, he meant it for good. So as Jesus stretched out his arms and breathed his last, it looks like evil has won. But all God's dreams come true. And he rose again. But before all that happened, we read the shortest Bible passage in the Bible, just 2 words. Like Joseph, Jesus wept. Because he knows that some of us who are evil, and because of the evil weight that hits us, and because of some of the shattered dreams we have, we end up believing God is not good, God is not good, God is not good, God doesn't want my dreams coming true. And he weeps. Weeps for you, if you believe that. He has wept for me. Because there have been times that I've believed that. But because all his dreams come true, I'm following him. Because he is the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, even when I don't understand. Even when another dream gets shattered, and another dream gets shattered. Because all God's dreams come true. So on this Father's Day, when all God's dreams come true, we can be there. We can be there. Because it's a huge dream. It's never a small dream. Never just give me long, long, long life. May I never die. That's just a small dream. May I don't have to suffer much. Give me more money. Give me good health. Give me. And all those dreams won't come true. It's much more a nightmare than a dream. You know some of those stories. You maybe have lived some of those stories. But as we follow this God, when all God's dreams come true, the summer breezes, the warm, eternal glory, all God's dreams come true. Last night, late, I was up to the hospital. She's only 56. But over the last number of decades, it's hard to imagine the suffering. Decades with her hands gnarled up. Decades when her feet were arthritic and she could barely walk. But she loves Jesus and Jesus loves her. And maybe this afternoon, Dawn Trams will take her last breath. And I love this sister. She sat with her time and time again over the last number of years. 56. She's been in a nursing home for the last 8 to 10 years. I go and sit with her. Here's the body of Jesus for you, Dawn. Here's the blood of Jesus for you, Dawn. And I may not get to do that again. Because God's dream is coming true for Dawn. God's dream will come true for you as we follow him. Don't follow this world. Come on. The shiny things that they flash in front of us, that's just evil bait. God has a bigger dream. He's got a bigger dream. Dads, he's got a bigger dream. Would you pray with me?